just got to see this brand new film from writer-director Kyle Mooney called Y2K. This brand new sort of teenage slasher film that takes place in the year 2000. If you're young like me and were not born in the year 2000, I'm a 2001 baby myself. If you didn't know, when the year 2000 came, there was this weird sort of apocalyptic sort of fear that a lot of people had that when the clock struck midnight on New Year's Eve of 1999, going into 2000, that there would be an apocalypse where the technology turned against humanity and we would all die. Lo and behold, it didn't happen. But this is a movie sort of talking about and discussing and showing visually for all of us in a movie theater what would have happened if it did happen. And it's a film that, funny enough, is actually produced by Jonah Hill, because it sort of feels like those early 2000, early 2010 comedies that we used to get. It's trying to be Superbad meets Zombieland in a weird mashup with this slasher concept, and I'm happy to report, for the most part, this film really works. I had a really good time with this. I was actually shocked to see its Rotten Tomatoes score is at like 50%. That's mind-blowing to me. Because this is a film that after watching it, I was like, people are probably gonna love this. This is like an 85 to 90% Rotten Tomatoes. 50? What did other people watch? Y2K stars Jaden Martell, Julia Dennison, everybody's favorite Hollywood superstar Rachel Zegler. Don't we all love her? She's just fantastic and so nice and seems like such a lovely person to be friendly with and friends with, and she definitely doesn't piss anybody off on the internet. There's a bunch of other people in this movie that I won't spoil, but just a lot of random people show up. Even Kyle Mooney, the director's here, playing a character that I found hilarious. But essentially, the story of this movie is you have these two guys who are nerds. They're essentially Superbad, the two characters from that. They're these nerdy dudes who want to go to a party and they want to get the girls, right? They want to get the girls on New Year's Eve. Of course, you have the main guy who has a crush on Rachel Zegler's character and he wants to get her on New Year's Eve, and they're a little nerdy and a little nervous. And they go, and the New Year's Eve party happens, and for the first, 20 minutes of this film, you get really a teenage high school drama thing, which I thought was written really well. I thought was really funny. Is it Superbad? No, it's not. Nothing will ever be Superbad. Nothing will ever be Zombieland 1. But it is fun, and it works. Julian Dennison is freaking fantastic. He's amazing in the Taika Waititi film that he was in a few years ago. He's just remarkable, and he's so funny here. And I really dug a lot of the comedy and a lot of the references that happen early in the film. But then the film takes a turn. The clock strikes midnight. 2000 comes. The machines turn against everybody. And this film gets a little wild and a little messy. When that stuff starts, this film doesn't really become a horror thing, but it becomes a weird slasher film that is a little unbalanced. The slashing elements when they first start and the kills and everything is so brutal and so crazy and so out there. I was laughing my mind off because it just comes out of absolutely nowhere in this film, and I was not expecting it, and it's so creative and so goofy, but so just nicely done that I loved every second of it. There are also some really shocking moments. I mean, there is no plot armor in this movie, and it blew me away. There are really interesting kills that happen early in this film that I was like, wow, okay, so this movie's not going to be what I thought it was going to be. Which really, I appreciated it. It did feel a little messy because of that at times. Like, the film took really big twists in that early half and went in wildly different directions, and I was not expecting it, to the point where I was almost like, this script is a mess, but a good mess almost. The story does eventually become sort of your centralized love story, and it becomes this, how do we take down these big bad robots? And I almost feel like a lot of the budget for this movie was really spent in the first 30 minutes of it, because I will say the final 45-ish minutes are a little bit messier and a little bit more condensed and closed than that first 45 minutes, but they were still decent. Because the characters here, I think, work well enough. It's kind of ground level at times. It's the nerd trying to get the girl, right? The cool girl who's kind of a nerd, and the nerd who's kind of a cool guy, and you have all these other rambunctious characters around them that are kind of emitting different aspects of the early 2000s, and if you're from that time, you probably feel nostalgic too when it comes to the music, the technology, the camcorders, everything about it, the potheads. It kind of emulates that time period, and anybody who grew up in that time period, this movie's probably going to scratch an itch for you for nostalgia. And I thought the characters all played off each other well, and I just thought this movie was funny. I was laughing at a lot of the jokes. Kyle Mooney's character is unbelievably funny. There were just stupid references and things said. Like, this is my type of comedy, and if that's a bad thing according to Rotten Tomatoes, maybe I'm just easy to make laugh. I don't know, maybe my sense of humor sucks. I found this thing to be absolutely hilarious, though, which made this thing entertaining from start to finish, even if the script does get a little bit messy in the latter half of the film going into the ending, where it almost felt like they didn't know what to do with this concept. They got to a point where they're like, we set up this really cool sort of world and what's going on, and we don't really know how to end it, so random bullshit, go, go, go! Which is fine, and there's still some surprises in that messiness that's hilarious, with some people showing up that got such loud laughs out of myself in an empty theater. that's okay. I just had a really fun time with this movie. Yes, it's not perfect. It feels like a concept of a first movie where maybe if a studio sees this and it does well enough, it gets more money, and like a sequel could be really more fleshed out, or a follow-up from Kyle Mooney could be more fleshed out. But this is a guy who is a really good writer and a good filmmaker that maybe he could be the first person to make something that almost gets us back to that super bad level comedy movie. I don't see it happening because of just the way the world is at this point, but this movie and something like this gives me hope, because these are the types of movies I grew up on. Like, this is the type of shit I watched as a kid growing up in my teen years, and I love films like this. They're fun, they're silly, they're fast-paced, they get laughs out of me. They don't have to be these cinematic masterpieces, these incredibly well-written pieces of art. They just need to be fun, and I had a fantastic time with this one. I had so much fun with Y2K. So much fun that I'm actually going to give it a 4.5 out of 5, which is a very high rating, to be completely honest with you. Maybe higher than it probably deserves, but I love this film. I had a really good time with it, and yet again, the point of watching movies is to have fun and have a good experience, or to get something out of it, and I had a damn good time at the movie theater watching this thing. Even if I had to be reminded of the fact that Rachel Zegler is in Snow White, which comes out soon, and she's just my favorite person, isn't she? I'm kidding. Rachel Zegler's fine. She's gorgeous. She's a great actress. It's okay if she's a little bit of a nuisance off-screen, right? Who cares? Hey guys for watching. Make sure to like this video, subscribe for more. Let me know what you think of the movie down below, and I will see you in the next one.